Hello, viewers. Brian J.T. Watts here, back again. I know I've been gone for a while. We'll talk about that in a minute. But one thing that I seem to always forget to do is to ask you to subscribe to our channel, to like our YouTube channel, to click the bell for notifications so you know what's going on. Come Together is back, and today we'll be talking to one of my friends from back in the day, Hakeem Ali. And I want you to check it out. So after the opening, I'll be interviewing Hakeem Ali. Stay with us. This is the greatest game of telephone that has ever been played. Someone said the black man doesn't raise his kids or care for his family, and that message is still being told to everyone today. They even have us saying,
"We are not a monolith. We have various opinions and thoughts. We are much more than what we are portrayed to be by the media.
Even when we are the victims of injustice, we are still portrayed as the perpetrators. When it comes to the black man, there is an intentional plan to discredit the past, arrest the present, and destroy the future.
Something must be done, but nothing will work until we come together." Welcome, viewers. This is Brian J.T. Watts. I am back. I know I've been on a hiatus for a little while, but I'm back with Come Together. So welcome to this new episode. I'm here with brother Hakeem Ali. I want y'all to meet him out. Hakeem, and let you tell the viewers a little bit about what you do, and then we're going to jump into it.
Peace and blessings be upon you all. I'm a legal consultant, and what most people believe attorneys or lawyers do, and I use the two names specifically because the two are not the same. What they do has a lot to do with what we don't read. So it's an expense that can be settled if we only read what was guaranteed in law.
Wow.
So these are things I share and do in writing for people in criminal cases, civil cases, foreclosures. As a matter of fact, we just stopped a foreclosure yesterday, the day they were going to auction it off, stopped it on the spot.
Wow.
Because it's a language game. And I'm really beginning to show people the only thing that controls you here in America is white paper and black ink.
That's a lot.
That's the gist of it.
Hey, well, listen, I mean, legal counsel, I think a lot of people have sidestepped legal counsel because they feel like, okay, I'm already going to pay enough for a lawyer, or I'm going to pay this, not realizing that getting some counsel could save you
right,
all the rest, down the road. So it's a great way to jump in there. How do people find legal counsel? I mean, is that something that's just listed online? How do people go about getting legal counsel?
Well, most of the time, consultants are referred to by other people.
Okay.
And depending on one's level of understanding law, you'll see different types of people coming to you.
Okay.
Because most people who don't understand law, they've been programmed, the first thing they say, I got to get a lawyer.
Right.
Instead of saying, let me read the rules to this issue and what their job description is, and let's see if it coincides with what's written.
Wow.
Because if your position is off, anything you say to me after that means nothing.
Right. Okay. Well, listen, that's news for me. I haven't been in any deep trouble, but I will be sure to make sure that I hear you. Reading up on things has always been something that I like to do. I mean, if I have a problem with any electronics in my house, I go back to the manual. You know what I'm saying? And I think that we're conditioned to do that with little things like that, but not with things of a legal standpoint. So that's big, and I think that our laws in this country, even though things have shifted and things have changed, a lot of things have stayed the same. And if we can read up on it, we can know exactly where we are. And we're going to perish due to ignorance. I mean, that's what a lot of people have been in jail. A lot of people have had things taken away from them, contract negotiations, all kind of things, because they have no idea, one, what they're getting into, and they have no idea how to get out of a bad situation when it starts. So I'm glad that you're in that. This show is made to expose and to celebrate positive Black men and men that are doing positive things. So you have already shown us that you're doing something that can positively affect the community. It's just a chance of people getting to know what they need to know. And it's funny that no matter how high some of us have gone in education, to terminal degrees, to $1 million status, and some will even probably reach $1 billion, there's still a lot that people don't know. And, it's very possible for you to be what they might call successful in one way, but still not know a lot of the things that can keep you and your family being ultimately successful, or ultimately making money, or staying in the business that you're in. So I'm definitely happy about that. I wanted to get into some stuff with you that I know the two of us have talked about. I know viewers, you don't know, I go way back with this brother to college days. And I don't even want to say way back, because I feel like it was just a couple years ago. But looking at the family that he has, their ages tell me that it wasn't it wasn't a few years ago. Around some time, and I feel these aches and stuff. I'm like, no, it's been a while. So, me being a mathematician, I have to be honest about the years that it's been. But we definitely go back to college days. And you've been somebody that I've always been able to sit down and talk to and have great conversations. So we were talking about this a few days ago. I have an issue with a lot of what's going on for our community. But one of the things that I have not been able to talk to a lot of people about is food. Okay. Now, growing up in the South Bronx in the projects, I know that especially looking back, but even when I was there, I knew that the food that we got wasn't the healthiest. I didn't spend a lot of money because I lived with my parents and stuff then, but they would send me to the store, and I'd buy the regular stuff that everybody was buying. We knew it probably wasn't the best, but then my father became vegan, and he started to shop outside of our community, and that was the first tip to me that something was wrong. The fact that we couldn't buy the stuff that he needed to buy anywhere near where I lived was weird. Like, why you got to go downtown in Manhattan, in a different area where nobody, I mean, there's a few people that look like us, but it's not our community. You can buy chicory and beets and, all of this stuff that he eats, and that we were eating, millet and brown rice, just the good, whatever the good stuff was, he had to go somewhere else. I noticed that these things were insanely expensive compared to what was in my neighborhood. All these health food stores where the prices were, to me, outrageous, and vitamins and minerals and all of these things. And it seemed like, not knowing exactly what my parents' budget was, it seemed like this budget for food now was 2 to 3 times bigger than it would be had we been living like the other people who lived around us, or shopping where we lived. What is it that started this big health craze where it seems like in the ghetto, we're just going to pour you in with all the food that's going to keep you down? And is this true? Because that's how I feel about it. It's like they're just going to keep us with bad food, but they're going to keep giving the good food away to the people who can afford it.
Well, first and foremost, I seek refuge in Allah from the adversary Satan, that I may be guided on a path that is straight and prevented from being placed on a path that's misguided. It has always been, since we've been in relationships with the colonizers in this land, most people focus just on pork, which is very damnable. But anything that we have to get from those that have colonized us is always watered down or secondhand.
Okay.
Once we gave up our understanding of the value of our own hands of producing food to keep our own bodies healthy, we bought into a thinking that's unhealthy for our natural order of living. I'll give you an example. Just in nature,
Right.
we can look at a pigeon and we can look at a crow.
Okay.
We can look at a sparrow. They're all of the bird family. But each one of them system is designed to eat specifically for that bird to keep producing in its natural state. Well, you and I are like that.
Okay.
Because of how we're made, we're supposed to eat according to its seasons.
Okay.
So we lost that. And now we're addicted to our taste
Right.
outside of what's healthy. And that was designed because, again, I'm going to say what Dr. Neely Fuller says, and I love that. He says racism and white supremacy. If you don't know what it is, the system, how it works, then everything you think you know will only confuse you.
That's good stuff. That's definitely good stuff.
Because we live according to a system,
Right.
and we react because we're living within a system. These are the reactions of that false system that we're mentally living under.
Okay. So that brings a question to my mind then, and I can't tell you where this is going to go because it's a big question for me. If that's the case, then is it wrong for us to be fighting for our place in this system, or should we be fighting to have our own system?
It is impossible for you and I to really see clearly if we think the system that's in play is a system that's acceptable by God.
Right. Okay.
So automatically, your job is to move out of that system
Right.
and create a system that's harmonious for the planet.
Right.
I'm not saying black supremacy.
Right.
I'm
That's
saying
fine.
righteous supremacy.
Right. 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 I mean, I hear you. I hear you. I definitely hear you. We're on the same point. It's just amazing to me that you know it's a lot of confusion, like you said. There's always, when we look at where our community is here in America, there are so many different ways people think you can get to um, living the way that they say we want to live. A lot of people say, "Oh, it needs to be a peaceful protest. Oh, we need to be violent and burn everything down. Oh, we need to do this. We need to do that." And my answer to a lot of people was, you're still inside of this. You know what I'm saying? You can't get out of it by doing what's being done to you. You're not in charge. The people in charge have this way of doing things. If you don't know what's going on, you're just fighting. You're fighting blindly. Are you hurting yourself? Are you hurting your sisters and brothers? Are you hurting your own community? And it seems that the statement that you gave really makes sense. If you don't know the whole system, you're actually going to confuse yourself. And so our fighting, I think a lot of us have fought to be on top, you know, and then a lot of people find out that this society, the capitalist society, is not something that they wanted to be a part of. They're not in agreement with the sacrifices they had to make, or the sacrifices that they have to continue to make just to be on top, just to be a millionaire, or just to be a superstar. A lot of people get up there and they realize, hey, look, this is not what I wanted, because their lives are not in tune the way they wanted to be in tune. So many things they had to let go of. So what you're saying to me is, until a new system that is harmonious between people, between brothers and sisters, happens, that we're going to have this confusion, and that's going to be that's going to be the problem for everything we go through.
Yes, sir. Because we see the sickness, but the actions is what we're afraid to do. See, when we say, well, let's start spending money in the black community because of A, B, and C, that's fine. So we're allowing your commerce to increase.
Right.
But if we're doing that and you're still taking those funds and you're still going outside of the community to purchase your passions and your desires,
Right.
then there's no difference with what I'm doing wherever I go.
Right.
But if we do what we're asked to do, then it must be contracted that you'll pay certain families' bills for a month or so,
Right.
or you'll send a certain amount of kids to college that we can use, meaning we're sending them to school not just to go to school, but to rebuild.
Right.
See, now I'll support you, but if it's just going in your hand and saying, we're spending money in the black community, I'm looking at you like you're still missing it.
Right.
You're still trying to produce in a system, and I'm gonna quote what your Bible says: envy not thy oppressor and choose none of his ways. See, we've just blackenized the same system,
Right.
and we've become selfish just like the system was towards us.
Right. Well, yeah, definitely. And that's part of what I see as an issue. I've let people know that, well, there's a saying I had. You can't really be upset about what happened to you if you get into a position and do the same thing to somebody else. So I've seen kids who have been beat down all their lives by their parents, and then they have kids and they beat them down the same way. And I'm like, look, you couldn't have been too mad at it. You was just mad at which side you was on, because you're doing the same thing to somebody else. And that's part of what I think happens with a lot of us. It's like, yeah, we're going to complain about being oppressed, but as soon as we get a chance to oppress, then we're back in that same cycle, and that's not going to solve anything. That's not going to get us anywhere. So tell me this: if while we're in this system, as far as how we started off with this discussion about food, what can people do now? I know you have some things you're going to do, and I want to talk about that, but what can we do now while we're still in this system to sort of produce the kind of food that would be good for our bodies? Because as I told you before, me going out of the country and being there for 2 years, my shopping, my eating, everything was different. I noticed that there was a lot more good stuff and affordable stuff for people to eat. Even the poorest of people that I saw were still able to eat well, which was shocking to me. You know, I've been on the islands, and I've seen islands like Barbados where if stuff is growing on the side of the road or it's hanging over somebody's fence, that stuff is legal for anybody to eat. You know, people were homeless, but they weren't hungry. You know, and so I'm starting to see that everywhere else but here. So what is it that we can do on our own land or in our own homes to help start producing stuff that's healthy for us to consume?
That's, man, beautiful question. If you own a home, then get out of the Hollywood image of how your yard should be.
Okay.
Because in the Eastern world, wherever people have homes, all around their yard, they have life being produced, fruit trees, vegetables. You see what I'm saying? Because the land was given to you not to make it look pretty, but you birth life with it to make generational health from the land, because you're connected.
Right.
Some people can start growing certain herbs and vegetables in their homes now.
Right.
You know, but I'm a specify immediately get back to an alkaline diet.
Okay.
And that's because of how our chemical makeup is when we were discussing earlier about the four birds.
Right.
That alkaline diet does a wonder to our system with a quickness if we stay on it. Give it 30 days.
Okay.
And people look at you like, oh, I'm like, no, you can do it. You can do it. And when you finish it, you're going to understand, wow, 30 days just fixed 10 years of ...
Wow. That's saying a lot, man.
Yes, sir.
That's
Yes,
saying
sir.
a lot. That's saying a lot. Well, I'm really into the growing stuff in your yard. My dad is in Alabama and he started to grow some stuff. But my dad is he's from Alabama, even though he was in New York for a long time. And his family, he grew up like that. You know what I'm saying? They grew stuff. They had gardens, they had things like that. And for me to see him do it was like him going back to, the way he was brought up. For me, living in the projects, that land was everybody's land. We wasn't touching that dirt. It wasn't growing nothing in it. You know what I'm saying? But I do want to get back to that point where even if I'm not self-sustaining, that I'm purchasing from people who are self-sustaining. Farms out here in Maryland, there's a lot of farms, been to a couple, but I do like to know what people are growing their stuff with, what they're doing, what's going on, what's this farm about, what kind of soil you're using, all the kind of stuff that's going to keep me just knowledgeable. I think that we don't know a lot about stuff that we eat. Like, we can go to the store now. I know people who are vegan, who have been vegan all their lives, who tell me they've never consumed meat. And I'm like, well, you probably have, because of the stuff they're using to make the stuff that you eat.
Right.
So,
Right.
when somebody told me they're using stuff from shrimp to help make bananas stay ripe longer, I'm like, well, hold on. There are people who swear they don't eat seafood, but you eat bananas. So you got this cross-pollination of stuff going on, and it's a lot. Seedless things. When I was young, only seedless thing I knew about was grapes. Then all of a sudden, now there was seedless watermelon and seedless this. It seemed like there's a lot of science going into our diets, and nobody's asking for science in their diet. Nobody's asking for all of this stuff, but it's making money. Even I stopped eating at what was the place called? KFC, because the chicken just didn't taste like chicken anymore. It didn't feel like chicken. It didn't taste like chicken. And I was like, okay, what is this? I started eating McDonald's when I started to see certain things, and I was like, okay, you know what? I need to be cooking at home. And then even after cooking at home, I was like, I need to be growing this stuff. So lately, I'm trying to find different things. I go to the farmer's market out in Baltimore, until I can get to some people who I know who own farms. That's what I want to get closer to. But it seems like now it's not as expensive as it used to, because it's becoming mainstream to be vegan or vegetarian, and there's a lot more things out. Back in the early 80s, when my dad put us onto it, it was nothing to eat. We had to make things,
Right.
Everything that was eating was terrible. And we talked about this before too. I wanted to know and get your ideas on it, and let the viewers know. I seriously believe that at some point our bodies were made for us to eat what was needed from us. If we had depleted ourselves from a certain mineral or vitamin, that's probably what we would crave. So if you needed a certain thing, that's what you craved, and you ate that, and your body was back into some type of equilibrium. I'm trying to find out, and I think it's all European. I'm not sure. Maybe you can correct me on that. That where we got into this eating for taste and eating. And now, don't get me wrong, I love the way a lot of stuff tastes. I'm not even going to act like I don't.
Right.
I love to season my food. I love to do all of that, and I love to entertain and all that. But where did we get that from? Because that couldn't have been how things started. How did we get to a point of eating for taste and for enjoyment and stuff like that, instead of for what our bodies need?
Again, racism, white supremacy system. You don't know what it is and how it operates, then everything else will confuse you.
Wow.
Remember, the indigenous of this land and some of the enslaved, we were naturally recipients of flavor.
Okay.
So it's natural for us to flavor our food with what we grow.
All right.
Your enemy now has mimicked the taste, and he takes over what you put in your system. Now he has you like a junkie chasing a taste while he's destroying your system, and you're giving it to him willfully because you're chasing a taste now.
Wow.
And most kids can't differentiate what's natural and what's synthetic
Right.
because we've been trained or are being trained on the synthetic because of its taste,
Right.
not its health, not its health benefits.
Wow. Well, you know, that ties into a lot of other stuff because one of the things I tell people, the biggest education you can get is travel. And it's
Yeah.
funny that as I went to different places, I can't remember what island I was on a cruise, but we got into these sulfur baths, and they're seriously hot, drain all of your energy out when you're in there. But it's a good clean. The sulfur is supposed to be good for you and all of that. But afterwards, they give you a bunch of fruits and vegetables. As soon as you come up, the guy gives you that to try to energize you back. And this guy he showed me a plate that had banana and mango and stuff in it. And I was like, I'm good. And he was like, no, you want to eat this? And I was like, well, bananas and stuff, I eat that at home. And he said, you've never had any like this. And so that kind of got me. And I tasted the banana. And I'm gonna tell you, that was more banana than I ever had in my life. Just
Right.
I
Right.
realized this is what banana tastes like for real.
Right.
It was like compared to what I eat in here, it was banana concentrate almost. It felt like, I bit into the mango, and I was just like, wow. And he's laughing at me like he's like, yeah, I'm trying to tell you. I'm like, no, you told me. Give me whatever else you got, man. Come on, bring it on. And I'm eating these fruits, and I'm realizing that not only do we sort of water some stuff down here, but the land here isn't what it is in these tropical countries. So it's a lot more in their soil, it's a lot more sunlight, direct sun. I mean, everything was just so much different. And I couldn't believe how good things were over there. And I was like, I could live off of just fruits and vegetables over here, because it's good and it's good for me. And I think that a lot of times I've heard in our community not to go certain places, that they don't like black people there, or you're not going to be accepted. Every time I've gone somewhere where they told me I wouldn't be accepted, I was accepted with open arms.
Mm-hmm.
So it seems like if what you're saying is what's going on as far as the way we're being fed, we're also being kept from places where we would find out the truth about the food, because you're saying they don't want you to know this. They can keep you on a synthetic. Well, if they keep me from traveling these places and I go by their rhetoric on that, then I'm not going to go over there and find that out. I'm not going to realize this is what the real is. I've seen on some shows I watched that diets in other countries. We look at other countries, maybe like Germany and places where they eat a lot of sausage and all of this stuff. We were looking at their diet and comparing it to an American diet of the same level.
Mm-hmm.
And the American people were gaining more weight, having more diabetes, high blood pressure, all kind of stuff. And was like, what's the big difference? Well, over there, even though the diet seems to be one that we would say is bad, their food is still pure. You know what I'm saying? So if these guys are eating sausages, they're eating sausages that are made from meat, whereas over here we're eating sausages that have a whole bunch of sugar and high fructose corn syrup and all this stuff that doesn't have any need to be in a sausage, but it's in everything now. And it makes it seem like the goal is just for everybody to be addicted. So, I mean, I can't deny addiction because I remember being young and all the kids being addicted to McDonald's. I mean, I don't care how old you were. When we were young, McDonald's was it. If somebody said you was going to McDonald's, we were like, well, what are they putting in this food? And then I started to realize, wait, why do these burgers taste just like the fries and like the fish sandwich? I mean, they all had different, something to them, but they all had the same aftertaste. I was like, somebody's really getting me hooked on this stuff. And y'all can't lose their mind still to this day. McDonald's been around for lives.
Yeah.
Still, if you start them off on it, that's what it is. So, I mean, how do we get around other than just growing our own stuff? Should we be starting community things where we can have our own farms where everybody can come in and sort of contribute and we start to grow different vegetables and fruits? Should we be raising cattle and animals and things like that? What kind of things do you think are possible for us to get into to sort of save ourselves from what's going on?
Everything you just named, it's in motion. It's just not seen. And again, when you don't, as a people, understand that you're still in a war,
Right.
you take your guard down, even with a biological chemical war that's going on.
Okay.
Because the food is a biological chemical war.
Right.
And Bill Gates is buying up billions of acres of farmland. Why? See, Dr. What's his name? Sheikh Imam Alameen from Georgia said that whatever you as a people don't control will be used to control you.
Wow. That's big.
Case in point, just right now in Jackson, Mississippi,
Mhm.
when you're dependent upon a system to provide you with something that is of a necessity as far as water,
Right.
then they have the power, almost like Pharaoh, to say, I have the power of life and death in my hand.
Right.
But we won't consider why don't you keep the wells we used to have in our land?
Right.
With our technology, why haven't we invented machines, which they have done,
Yeah.
that will produce water that will be for our benefit?
Right.
Because we don't recognize we're still in a war. So those that want to complement the system don't hear the pains or feel the pain anymore because they're comfortable.
Right. Right.
And I'm not knocking you, but I keep telling people in this system, you're not educated to free yourself. You're trained to be a part of. And that's the harsh reality.
Yeah. That's it. That's I mean, but that's what I'm asking. What do we need to do to get that education out? And I'm not asking because I haven't heard other suggestions, but I don't see anything that's working well, especially with our young people today, because I know our parents were sort of growing up in the whole civil rights, time. We got I know to them we seemed a little less interested, even though a lot of us were still very into being activists and into things that were going on in our generation. But it seems like where we are now, there's a lot of kids who are just like, "Yo, this is life." You know what I'm saying? This is what we do. I'm trying to get mine, legal or legal, illegal, whatever it is. And there's not a lot of need to fight. Everybody feels like they're comfortable. We're looking at black people making more money than they've ever made, but I'm like, but prices are higher than they ever were. So what's the difference? You still haven't freed anybody to be themselves. You haven't allowed anything to become equitable. We got a lot of diversion and equity and things. These words are going around like crazy, but it seems to be for every other group that's fighting for something before us, and we've been in this fight for a long time. So how do we get this knowledge out? I see brothers like even Dave Chappelle in his comedy will still take time to make sure he lets you know this ain't where we're supposed to be. You know what I'm saying? There are things going on wrong. There are people who inject the messages into their other things, but there's nobody going out there that I know of or that I've heard of that's really trying to educate and pull us away from this, I guess, lethargic or apathetic feeling that we have now where everybody's just comfortable and it's like, well, this is what they're giving us, this is what we're going to take. I mean, what do we do?
I respect your position. The only thing I would have to say from the position that I possess is that in warfare, certain tactics can't be discussed on mediums for the public.
Okay.
Number two, there are connective groups that are making changes that are not in the public eye,
Okay.
but each individual, it's almost like the movie Legend.
Okay.
You know, towards the end, they had to find their way to get to the area that has been preserved
Right.
for your development.
Exactly.
We're in that stage now. And I'm saying that to you because in warfare, this is something the enemy has done to us. We've articulated so many things in the media's eyes, and they've made trillions off of our natural abilities
Right.
because we talk too much and we don't understand the power of the tongue in this system.
Right.
So we haven't learned it. Well, we're learning to utilize it. And there are things that are happening.
Mm-hmm.
And I say that with a protective tongue.
Right. There
But
you go.
one-on-one, I will talk that much more.
Oh, no doubt. No doubt.
But with
That's
shows
good.
like this,
Right.
it needs to begin to spark the, hey, let's get together.
Right. No,
Off
no
the
doubt.
record.
No doubt. Listen, that's good to know. And that's why I put stuff out there like that, because I want to hear. I think that a lot of people misunderstand when some of us speak. We're looking for more. You know what I'm saying? We're not looking for an argument or debate. We're looking for, hey, if this is wrong, challenge this and show me the right way. So
Yes.
definitely want to know that. Well, look, I think that what we've covered today is great. I'm definitely coming back. This is definitely part one, y'all. This is definitely part one with Brother Hakeem here because I got a lot more things to discuss with this brother, and I think he has a lot more information that he can put out for us. And so we're going to keep this up. So look out for part two to be coming soon. We'll definitely get up on this. And I'm going to make this right now. I'm going to say this on the show. So just for accountability. As soon as I hit this end broadcast thing, I'm going to get this alkaline diet stuff from my brother and we're going to get started. I'm going to let y'all watch me transform on here and do my thing. Yeah, no doubt. No doubt. So you started it. I will let you know you started it right now. And people, hopefully y'all will see the 30-day change and y'all know this brother is all real and you will see me in my new glory. So that'll work out. Well, hey man, thanks for coming out. We'll definitely get back with you soon, man. All right.
Yes, sir. Peace and blessings, my brother.
Viewers, thank you so much for being with us today. We will have Hakeem Ali back. There's a lot of stuff that we want to talk about here, and I wanted to make sure that I don't keep it too long. So that was our first episode, but we will have him back in the coming weeks. Definitely want to thank all of you who who showed concern and everything during my surgery and my recovery period. Still sort of recovering, but I'm doing a lot better and glad to be back doing the show. So thank you all for that. Hopefully you were all caught up on the episodes. And if you haven't seen all the episodes, check them out. Really want to know what you think about them. And really want to have you let me know about some positive men of color, Black men who are out there doing their thing that we can interview and have on the show as well. Okay. Thank you so much. Don't forget to subscribe and like the channel. Click the bell for the notifications, and we will see you again next week. Thanks a lot. Talk to you soon.